Hello and welcome to this lesson. We're going to talk about what is influence. What I'm going to do over the next couple lessons is I'm going to explain what leadership is. And rather than just tell you what it is, I'm going to build the case and I'm going to walk you along to the point where once I say what leadership is, you're going to know exactly what it is by that point. It's just going to be like, well, yeah, there it is. We're going to come in and walk into the discovery of leadership. And I believe the starting point for any discussion about leadership begins in influence. Influence is the thing that connects it all together. And once you understand what influence is, leadership and influence are not the same thing. And you're going to hear these words thrown out there all the time. And so I want to put that away, and I want to be able to use those words like influence without you wondering, okay, what exactly is he talking about when he's talking about influence? John Maxwell, the author of this book over here, he says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. That sounds great, but it's not true. I appreciate that John's saying that, and there's such an overlap between those terms that it's okay. It's a good kind of catchy thing. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's not true. It's actually, I would say it's less than leadership. It's part of leadership, but it is not the entirety of leadership. And I'm going to show you that over the next few lessons, just to show you how these two words interrelate. And by the end, you're going to have great clarity. So let's hop right into it. Okay, I've got the whiteboard done up here. Excuse me when I turn my back to you a couple times in order to do this whiteboard stuff here. But I have what I call the ABBs of influence. And to explain what influence is, you have to understand something so fundamentally true that I'll say for me, when I came across this truth, I was borderline shocked. Just the realization of it. And I've proven this point many times, as a scientist might prove it, that influence is a natural phenomena. Okay? A natural phenomena. And what a natural phenomena means, like a phenomena is, it's something out there that you can observe. It's happening. There's a light that's coming and hitting me from this thing right now. You're watching a video screen, and light is being emitted from the LEDs that are going into your eyes, and there's a phenomena there. I'm calling it like LEDs and light. But before these things were specifically named, and then they were understood very well, it existed. And so audio, right now, when I speak, I can hear myself. These are phenomena. I could talk about the waves and all that. That is the measurement. That is the understanding of it. But before there was measurement and understanding, there was the phenomena. Okay? That's why this is super important that we talk about it. We talk about it like this, so you can take the blinders off your eyes and see the world as it actually is. Influence is the natural phenomena by which people are able to get other people to do things. That's it. I could say, oh, it's other people getting other people to do things. That's okay. But the natural phenomena, I don't know if there's an unnatural phenomena, so, but normally people say natural phenomena. It's natural in the sense that no one's influenced influence. No one got, it's this kind of reinforcing thing. If you believe, for example, that influence is a real thing, it proves the fact that influence is real. If you didn't believe it before, but then somebody else influences you to believe it, it by de facto proves itself. It is a logic that is pretty much unbeatable, because by the virtue of how we go about moving about the space, you can't escape it. And that's the thing. Like, okay, let's take a step back and we can look at it, right? If you get it far enough away from you, you can see it. We're all in it. We're all in it. So we're not fully seeing it, but if you push it back, you can see the natural phenomena. It's there. Now, there is what I call the ABBs of influence. These are the three things that you can influence. Nothing more, nothing less. John Maxwell. There's only three things: actions, behaviors, and beliefs. Okay? You're going to hear people say things like influence events. That is a larger concept of that encapsulates the word event or influence. That is not really meaning the word influence. Influence is literally the phenomena by which I have the ability, like let's say you, let me try to think here of a, let's take a ridiculous one, flat Earth, right? Out there on the internet right now, there's kind of this movement about flat Earth, and people before coming across the flat Earth theories, so to say, hypotheses, whatever you want to call them, they believed in a round Earth. They've grown up knowing around Earth, this, that, and the other. Then they hop on YouTube, and all of a sudden they watch these videos, and they're making these convincing arguments. All of a sudden they're like, maybe the world is flat. Okay, what is happening right there is one human being has created a situation by which another human being, when they come into contact with the thing that they've built, i.e. YouTube videos and arguments that they've put together, is influencing someone else to change their beliefs. Okay? That's a belief. Now, what they do next based on that, this is where somebody might say influence events, they're going to go and do things like exhibit new behaviors, like having increased skepticism about this, that, or the other. They might actually take actions on this. I don't know, they're going to go to a public forum and try to refute somebody on whether or not the world is round. But what is true is that this person entered into that video believing one thing and left believing something else. And those beliefs then modify their behaviors, and their behaviors modify actions that happen. Now, the thing I've kind of shown here is this is kind of the higher order of things of impact and effect. Beliefs impact behaviors, and behaviors impact actions. And so when you're talking about the power of influence, more often than not, we're always talking about actions. Okay? Go pick up that pen. Can you take out the trash? Hey, just let me believe what I want to believe. Right? That's what some kid says to their parents. I just want to believe this. They want the parent to take an action, which is normally to stop talking to them. So then inhibit, it's not really a belief. They're not trying to influence a belief there. They're trying to influence the action, which is almost always stop talking to me. Don't try to refute me. Don't say any of those things. Those are actions. Then their behaviors, they're hoping that over time they don't take actions. That's a new behavior based on what's happening there. And maybe a belief, maybe they're fully adopting, like, oh, they know what they're talking about. I don't know why, but at the end of the day, most people are trying to influence actions. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with this course for you is raise your awareness to start to look at these other two things. These are the things by which you have the largest impact on people, is their beliefs and their behaviors. Most of the corporate world works on this. They don't work on this. This is the one by which when you do this, you create lifelong followers. You create people that would die for you. You create people who are extremely resilient, who are beyond the outside world's ability to influence them. Beliefs. Beliefs are where it's all at. You might go further. Okay, I'm gonna go there because I love kind of the ad hoc nature and freedom that I have here to talk to you for real. I'm going to add another one here. Probably need to make sure I go up because you won't be able to see it. I'm going to add a V. I'm going to put values. Okay. I'm going to talk a little theoretical at this point about this. I say theoretical because we're talking, each one of these is kind of if you want to think about it in mathematical terms, these are different orders, right? So this would be like 1, 10, 100, 1,000. And, or tiers, so to say, like there's separations. It's really easy to see actions. People are either doing it or they're not doing it. They're actions. It's a lot harder to see what their behaviors are. People have a belief about what people's behaviors are, that, oh, I'm seeing a trend that you're doing this stuff all the time. Behaviors. That's a belief about a behavior. That does not mean that is their behaviors. Separating the two. Now, having said that, beliefs, it's even harder to see what somebody believes. You can kind of see it again if you kind of push away a little bit. You can say some general things, like right now, you can say for 100%, I believe that the sun's going to come. And I'm talking about you looking at me, the person in the camera, that if I'm doing this right here, right now, it must be the case that tomorrow the sun's going to come up. I must be the kind of person that is believing that the sun must be coming up tomorrow. Because if the sun wasn't coming up tomorrow, I'd be inside my house, building a game plan of action to withstand the no sun apocalypse. Okay. Other beliefs I have. On some level, I must believe that books are valuable because I've got lots of them. You may even ascertain my beliefs that I have a stronger affinity for philosophy and spirituality and hazier subjects than, say, something like business. Because if you look at my business section compared to my philosophy section, they're much larger. So you can ascertain these things. That doesn't mean you're 100% accurate in them, but you can get some sort of understanding. I drew values on here to kind of drive it even further. This is going even further, that what somebody actually values tends to shape their beliefs, tends to shape their behaviors, and shape their actions. And the values is complex, okay? Most of the time, people are talking about, well, they value their family. They love their family. Okay, there's other values. There's other values like the ability to choose whenever they want. That's what they value. That's not a belief. That's further down. That is a value. And that's things like, once you start getting into this here, you may even go, I'm going to go one further down. I can't. I've run out of board space. But you may even go further down into like the physics of the person themselves. And people would call that temperament. And that kind of mixes. I may be mixing the word value a little bit too much with that, but if you bring it down here, personality temperament goes down there. You are not going to influence personality temperament in the sense of you are going to change actions, behaviors, and beliefs. I'm very skeptical about your ability to change somebody's values. Maybe over time you change enough of their beliefs that their values come into line. Maybe. And going even further, you're talking about personality temperament. Now, I'm saying this because there's this interchange between going top and up and down here, that these things that are lower here, they're the things that are driving these upper things. However, if you want to influence these, you got to go down like this. You can't directly go at beliefs. You have to take actions. You have to get to change behaviors and change beliefs. You can get people to start to think, like that example about the flat earth. For the week or the month, they started to believe in flat earth, but by the end of the week or end of the month, they're right back to round earth. Like their actual beliefs. Because if they really believed it was a flat earth, they, you would talk about like flying somewhere and like, whoa, I don't want to fly off the planet. They'd be like afraid they're going to go see what, like the ice wall or something. I remember seeing this stuff in the past, but they'd have these beliefs, but those aren't really changing their behaviors, which goes to show you that it never really penetrated down. But the way to go from here down, or the way to get down here, is you got to go down. There's no way around it. And this requires intentional behaviors over time in order to adjust people's actions, behaviors, beliefs, and values. It's very easy to get people to do actions. If you've got kids, if you've seen kids, getting them to pick up trash, I'll tell you what. One of the things that's humbled me, that's been very interesting as being a parent, is just seeing the raw human nature in real life. It's been a joy for me to study. My family has been the unwitting participants in a near decade long study session of natural people and watching them what they do, watching how they watch other people and interact. And I'm talking about trash for sure. Our 6 year old, and it's probably most of them, but definitely 6 year old will just go like take trash, just store it right on the ground, just walk on without having any belief about it. Why? They did an action. It exhibits behavior. They do this behavior all the time, frequently. I should say frequently. They must believe something about the world. They must not have the belief that trash goes in a receptacle or a trash can. They must not have that belief, because why would you do that? I can tell you, I don't do that. In the past, I probably have done it, but at some point in time, we gain this belief. We might gain the belief that it looks like freaking trash when there's trash all over the place. So therefore, I'm going to do things like throw trash away. I believe, beliefs create all these different behaviors and these actions. And I mean like true beliefs. Again, I'm not talking about forebrain behavior where you're thinking consciously about what you're doing. That's not what I'm talking about whatsoever. I am talking about, because that's floating around more in the actions. I'm talking about the things by which people are doing even more so unconscious than behaviors. These are the things that are driving this stuff. This has to do with people's success, role of government, role of parents, role of schools, role of institutions, good and evil, their role in good and evil, who they are, all of these things. And I say who they are in the sense of like their sense of identity itself is baked in the beliefs, not their values, not the personality temperament. These things will drive and shape how these beliefs get formed, and so they might be more complex, more complicated than just something real simple. But that's in here. I'm going to erase the values because throughout this course, we're not going to talk about it, but we will be talking about the ABBs, actions, behaviors, and beliefs all the time. You're going to hear me hammer it again and again and again and again and again and again and again, because you need to be thinking about, am I seeing actions? Am I seeing behaviors? Am I seeing beliefs? And what do I need to do? We'll get to that kind of stuff. But before we go, I wanted to bring you over to, I've got a library. This is my business section over here. I'll refer to it, my business section, and it's also include like finances and money, things like that. And then I've got this other section out here, which is a little bit more filled in, which includes philosophy and spirituality and influence books. And it includes biographies and like kind of real events type stuff. I'd say real events. I mean, there's plenty of real events in these other books, and then I have leadership books down here. So I'm going to move over here. And so I wanted to bring you over here because I want to talk about influence in general and about the world out there that's talking about influence. The reality is all of these books, to include those business books, what a book is trying to get you to do is, whether or not the author is aware of it, it is engaged in the activity of trying to get you to adopt an action, behavior, and a belief. And the action may just be to be entertained. I'm trying to influence you to be entertained. And then you're leaving going, I'm entertained. As in like, I am now taking the action of one who is entertained. That's what a nonfiction book is doing, or a fiction book. These books right here that I brought over here, this is my leadership section down here. These are books that it literally has leadership in the name, or it's about group dynamics in terms of like, it might as well have the word leadership in it. It may have it in the subtitle, something like that. It's very explicit that it's about leadership. These books right here are a little bit more complex. This is why I put it in this section here. These are the books that are really engaged in the activity of like trying to teach you, the reader, about influence. The generic topic of influence, which influence is not leadership. I've split these out. These books all talk about influence. Almost maybe 2 of them say the word influence, but these are all influence books. These are all leadership books. They even look different. Somebody like John Maxwell, which is a proficient writer on prolific writer on leadership, he writes books that look like this. They have covers like this. It's just like this kind of. I like John Maxwell. I've like 5 or 6 of his books, but they're like just very generic, safe covers. This is safe. Okay. Here's another one. Everyone communicates, few connect. Okay. Whereas influence books sound like thunder in the sky on the exercise of power. Okay. Or things like political behavior in organizations, tribalnomics, things like The Prince, transformations. Okay. Here, let's hop into this specific book, because if you hear the word influence, you're going to be inevitably brought into hearing about this book right here, which I think is a pretty good book. It's called Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. And if you were to try to figure out what influence is from this book, you ask the question, what is influence? And you try to go figure it out. You will not figure it out from this book. What you will figure out, and here's the table of contents, you will figure out some tactics and some strategies to applying influence. And these are the ones that I would say Robert Cialdini likes and wants to teach, and maybe he heralds higher than any of the other techniques for influence. And so, he's got reciprocity, he's got commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, scarcity. These are things that these concepts and tactics have been adopted out in the world at large. Reading this book and looking at this book is you will engage in an activity of it's like an archaeologist who's digging in the sands, eventually finding some tablet that was the source of so much stuff. It points to an older time. This book right here, which when was the original version of this book published? Let's see here. 1984. 1984. If you read sales and business books, you're going to see influence, Robert Cialdini's stuff all over those books. Robert Cialdini, these concepts have been baked and absorbed throughout the entire business industry. That's why this book's over here. Because for one, it had some influence, of course, because it says the word influence on it. But there's other ones that are really interesting, right? What's your story? Okay. This is a book about storytelling to move markets, audiences, people, and brands. So this is a marketing book. It probably should be over there, but I kept it over here because it's about storytelling. It's very explicit about trying to influence people using stories. That is a technique and a strategy. It's part of a strategy, but it's definitely a technique, i.e., people will do things, they will take on actions, behaviors, and beliefs because you told them a story. That's an influence. That's how it actually happens. What to do. How do you get somebody to take an action? Write a book. That is a story. There's lots of people who have read fiction books that actually came away doing different actions, behaviors, and beliefs about the world because they read a fake book. Behaviors. They've changed their behaviors. They've changed their beliefs about the world because they read something about a fake book. Here's an example. Is this one? Yeah. So this is a science technical book. Okay. This is called Engines of Creation, The Coming Era of Nanotechnology. I want to say this book came out in 1970, 1986. And this book by K. Eric Drexler is a pretty well-known book in this space about nanotechnology, basically building these nano factories, all this kind of stuff. This is from 1986. There's been all sorts of people who have read this book, this nonfiction book, and have come away with the belief of that this is totally the future. Well, the reason why they come away with it has nothing to do with whether or not it's true or not. It has to do with this, a convincing argument. Okay? It's not you know, this is all about influence. We're talking about actions, behaviors, and beliefs that other human can get other people to do. There's different ways of doing it. Here's one right here, right? Let me see if I can get this without my whole bookcase falling over. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. This is a pretty well-known book out there in these sorts of spaces. And of course, you know, it's way thicker than it needs to be. It's like 350 pages, huge text. Here goes my bookmark. And, you know, why it can matter more than IQ. This is a book trying to change your beliefs about emotional intelligence. Here's the truth, though, and I'm gonna leave you with this. I like books. They're fun to read. Hold on, let me put that book there. I like books. They're fun to read. They give you new ideas, new concepts, new things that you can do. But like I was showing here on the board, these books are all trying to change your beliefs. Okay? That way you can change behaviors and your actions. You may be of that. I want you to change my beliefs. I want to believe in this so bad. I want to change my behavior, so I want to change my beliefs. People believe this kind of stuff all the time, and they do this. The reality, and I'm telling you now, this is a hint towards the rest of the course, to change somebody's beliefs, and I mean real beliefs, not I just put the book down and now I believe it, and then I go back and I do the same behaviors, the same actions I did. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about beliefs. If you want to change someone's beliefs, you have to start from here and work down. You have to change their actions consistently, regularly, over time. That creates behaviors. The more that the behaviors point in a certain kind of way, it will change beliefs. And when you do that, you're now influencing people for reals, not playing around. That's how things actually start to change. It takes, as Robert Cialdini says, consistency. Consistency. You do those actions. You have to influence the actions. This world is really trying to tell people to just influence people's beliefs all the time. It starts here. If you're watching this video right now, I know that you are on your way. You are taking action. You have taken actions. The more that you take actions, you will change your behaviors. Here's an example right here. I'm going to go over it real quick. I've got this list right here. I am not a list kind of person. I mean, I like to create lists, but I don't look at lists. That is a behavior I do all the time. And I say a kind of person, identity, you know, that's way down here. That's in my beliefs. I'm trying to change a behavior that when I do these recordings, I've got everything set up the way that it really needs to be in order to be successful. And I'm taking actions where I'm specifically looking at this list. I keep reminding myself to look at this list, to take a look at it almost like all the time. And the reason, so I create a behavior of using a list to create success when I'm managing all these different technical aspects. And then I'll create a belief. Some people say you got to have the belief before you have that. Kind of. That's a different kind of belief. That's like up here. That's, you know, it doesn't matter. That's a different kind of belief. That's like a surface belief. This is a real belief. I just got to like keep iterating this. This is not a surface level belief. When I write beliefs up here, and when I talk about beliefs in this course, I do not mean some surface level belief like, oh, I believe you. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of belief in which you wake up, you rest your life on those cornerstones. You lean on them until you fall over and you bust your face and you no longer have a belief in them. That's the kind of belief I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of belief in which I believe that I can grow food in such abundance that my family, has like unlimited fresh food. I have that belief. I have that belief because I've taken a lot of actions. I've exhibited a lot of behaviors, and I've had a lot of things that reinforce this belief. It's not like a confidence belief of like, oh yeah, I could do that. That's not what it is. And this is hard to take away. That's why I'm going to keep honing on it. You know, I'm just going to draw some things here. This is where we're really trying to get. When we're trying to really, 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 really be the leader and influence people, this is a very powerful thing. Not everything needs to come to here, but this is very powerful. But and this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with here, it starts up here. Starts right there. It starts with the actions. Okay, that's the end of this lesson. The next lesson coming up, I think you're going to enjoy.